We'll move on to the next session for today. We are going to do a panel, and it will be a conversation among some industry leaders. To host the panel, I'm going to invite one of my favorite people on this planet. I've had the luxury of working with him for the last 2.5 years. I call him the Tony Stark of marketing technology. He knows a lot of stuff, very smart. Can I have Arijit Rana on the stage? He's one of the directors for our Asia business. Over to you, Arijit.
Thanks a lot. That doesn't add to the anxiety of coming onto the stage, but thanks a lot for that intro. How many of you like going to an ATM to get money? Like, how many of you enjoy it? Well, there's one person who does. But the next topic is all about brands who have made these kind of simple things better for us. Very small things, right? If you want to order from Ida Mama, you need that payment portal. You want to get that coffee from Starbucks, you want to order it somewhere, you need that wallet, right? There are a lot of these apps and fintech brands which are coming up and making your life easy. So the next topic for today, and this is going to be a panel discussion, is how fintech brands can create a winning customer experience. And to talk this topic, we have 4 amazing panelists. So we have Bunny coming on the stage. We have Michael, Daniel, and Raymond here. It'll be great if you guys can join me on stage. Hello, Michael. So before we start the session, I'm going to let our panelists do a quick intro about themselves, and it'll be great if we can start with you, Bunny. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bunny. So that's my real name, D'Artagnan, but you can call me Bunny. So I'm currently the Chief Marketing Officer of CIMB Bank Philippines. Before that, I was with BPI, and before that, I was with Globe. So I have technology and financial services as experience.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mikal Calionza. I had the sales and distribution for SB Finance. We have the app Zuki. I started my career actually in manufacturing. From manufacturing to banking to being a baker to crypto and then back to finance. So I went full circle back into finance. So the bankers say I've gone back to the dark side. The fintech say, welcome back to the dark side.
Hi, good afternoon. So name is Raymond Villanueva. I'm with GoTime Bank. It's the Gokongwei Group's participation in the fintech space. Right before this whole thing, I was head of consumer business with PayMaya, which is now called Maya. Really grew that from 0 to 10 million users. And now we're going to try to recreate that same magic this time around with GoTime Bank. We just published, so I'm going to self-promote. We just published a couple of days ago, and then we should launch commercially by next week. So I'm very nervous about that, not about this panel though.
So, hello, good afternoon. My name is Daniel. I don't have as crazy careers as those guys. I started with Home Credit, and I am with Home Credit, and I'm planning to stay with Home Credit. I'm just going from one department to another. I was saying that I joined the dark side by going from the risk to the CRM. So, yeah, and thank you for having me, and let's have some fun.
Thanks a lot. That was an interesting round of introductions, and I hope we can have an interesting conversation as well. I'm going to start with my first question, and this is for Raymond. And this is around, we've been having a lot of digital transformation. Digital transformation is an ongoing concept. It doesn't stop, right? And banking has seen it. ATMs, which I joked about, were actually a digital transformation, right? People can go and take out their money. Yet all of this, the most amount of acceleration we have actually seen during the pandemic, right? So how do you think COVID has changed customer expectations from banking and fintech brands? What are your views here?
So the question is COVID and the effect. This has been said before, but I'll try to steal this quote. The best digital transformation agent is not, your digital transformation office or the digital marketing team. It was actually COVID. If you guys are still looking, if there's, a digital transformation team, it really happened. Now, just to give you guys a preview of what happened to us, I was right smack middle of that. I was still in my old role. When that happened, our 5-year plan became a 6-month plan. That just is the effect. So that completely changed our roadmap completely. Now, the best advice, and I'll start off, this is a panel and hopefully you guys can learn from our mistakes before, is that we split the whole conversation between digital and non-digital marketing, customer experience and digital customer experience. And like that whole concept of those being split has disappeared. Digital is the strategy. And that's probably the biggest transformation that not just happened to us. I mean, we're a digital organization and we pivoted, or we were forced to pivot. Like all of our plans that was 3 years set became within 6 months. Now, maybe that's something that people should see. It's like we made a mistake of extending it to 3 years. I'm pretty sure these guys probably know what I'm saying. But yeah, everything just got rushed. And for people doing a 3-year digital transformation plan, you guys can probably bring it to 6 months. We did it, so it is possible. That's it.
That's actually an interesting point of view, right? Because digital is the only way now. So I was actually talking to a banker friend of mine, and he talked about just making that whole experience of going to a branch of a bank to doing the same thing online that's it. That's the experience. There's no change. We're just making it digital, but that touch points have to remain the same. My next question is actually for Michael, and this again has to do something around the pandemic, right? A lot of new users came on these mobile banking apps, new fintech apps during the pandemic. A lot of them, like I know my grandfather started using digital banking for the first time, and I'm very sure someone would have looted him in India if they would have got the OTP, because he did not know how, if someone can actually access that and take out money, he did not know how to use it. It was a very new thing for him. I want to understand what are some of the aspects in which banks and financial institutions, they had to look at their customer onboarding. How to make that journey easier for the person to access the website or the app, and also educate them in using it in the right way. So yeah, how did it go about?
Well, particularly for the banking industry and the financial industry, one of the key things that the pandemic did was basically shock the system, shock the banking system. A lot of the banks, major banks, the top 10 there, are always have always been dependent on mainframe systems. Number one is where your system is. Recently, it is now a standard that it has to be in the cloud. So that's one of the key things that fast-track the development and shift. And once you're in the cloud, you now look into onboarding. Now, digital, I'd like to have a different view on digital being the strategy. Digital is a means. It's a tool. It's technology. You always focus back on the product, whether it's selling goods for mothers or us providing financial services, either cash or credit. And that is key. So I came from, before this company, I came from a company that was purely mobile. But when you get into financial transactions, especially the mass market, it is a mix. You have 4 types of customers. You've got your digital natives. You've got your people consuming information and transacting offline, and a mix of those. Transacting online, but information offline. So it's a mix of both offline and online. Zalora realized this when they started first with purely digital, then had pop-up stores to actually fit the clothes so that you won't return them. A lot of companies, e-commerce companies, have learned that as well. It is not just digital. The product is not the smartphone. The product is still what we sell. In our case, we sell credit. We sell financial services. So we focus on that and see if is digital the way? For us, yes, it is. For reaching out to the mass market, that's one of the best things. Same with what Raymond said. Our plan that was supposed to be 3 years was compressed into, actually, in our case, 4. 4 years from a gradual shift to an online mobile app. In 3 years, it became, we shifted it about 4 or 5 months, 6 months. So we needed to fast track on that. So that was good for me, because we were pushing digital and it was very hard to convince the shareholders. The pandemic helped us convince them.
Thanks a lot. That's actually pretty interesting what you shared, especially on the offline education of the customers in order to adopt digital or adopt these apps. So I think that's a very interesting aspect. I'm going to go to Bunny now. And this question is around personalization. I think something came up earlier. I think Bella was also asked a question on personalization. So I want to understand, what is the role of personalization and automation in improving the customer experience and also driving the loyalty? And what do you think some of the nuances in marketing? This is the second part of that question. What are those nuances in marketing and product professionals need to keep in mind while personalizing and automating the campaign? So it's indirectly a question which actually came from the audience. So maybe you can shed a little more light on that.
Okay, so personalization, in my opinion, is very, very crucial in our strategy for CIMB. Only because a substantial quantity of our almost 6 million database we acquire through GCash. So their first touch point is GCash. So therefore, it's important for us to establish personalization through onboarding with CIMB. Because at the end of the day, there's a confusion whether is the GSafe product GCash product or a CIMB product. So I'm here to correct, it is a CIMB product, okay? So it's a CIMB product. So it's very important for us to onboard our customers from the GCash and link their account to our mobile app, where we can personalize. It's not to say that we cannot personalize on the GCash platform, because we can. Because we have visibility on the data of the usage behavior of our clients, but more so on our app. We can personalize on our app, especially if, for example, we want to cross-sell our revolving credit product to them, right? So that's very important. That's why personalization, as I mentioned, is very critical to CIMB. So that's one thing. The other thing is that it's also important for the brand CIMB to personalize the way that we communicate to our customers, only because I don't know if you know, but we hardly do, as Bella said, we hardly do any paid media. That's not our strategy. Our strategy is acquire through our partners, and then once we acquire them, we talk to them one-on-one. And that's how we grow our business. Okay, so it's very important from a CIMB brand that we personalize our communication so that they will have a good experience of the CIMB brand. So that's one. Second is personalization also makes us very, very agile in terms of analyzing the usage behavior and cross-selling our own products to our customers. So those are the things that we do with regard to personalization. I hope I answered your question.
No, thanks a lot. I think you pretty much answered it. And it was interesting to understand that personalization is starting from the day you onboard the user.
Yes.
And it also
Yes.
helps you not in communicating to the user, but understanding the user, which is the other.
Yeah. So personalization for us is not just communications, but also how we can offer. That's one. Offer our products. Second is how do we stimulate usage among our customers. So we know based on the data if, for example, in the past 6 months, the customer hasn't really done anything to the deposit account. So we through MoEngage, we send them a CRM campaign to encourage them to stimulate usage to these customers.
Thanks a lot for that. And you touched upon LTV now, and which is my question to Daniel, right? All these metrics you talked about. Now, all these metrics actually indirectly lead to increasing the lifetime value of a customer, right? The customer lifetime value. So, Daniel, my question to you, how do you think customer experience improves the lifetime value? And the second part to it, what are those metrics which customer experience can impact? Like, can it impact revenue, upselling, and cross-selling rates, which Bunny just talked about?
I think that the customer experience and the lifetime value goes hand in hand. It's like the marriage, right? Like if you want to stay married for a long time, you want to have it as smooth as possible without any obstacles. I think that's the same with the customer experience, especially right now in the digital world. We don't want to make our customers' life more difficult than it already is, right? The fintech and the banking industry, especially in the mobile world, we are there just once in a while when they need us, and you want to have this experience as smooth as possible, right? Open app, do something, close it. And I think it's playing a very crucial role, and we are spending a lot of time trying to understand the customers. And I think what was said about the COVID was really right. We did a lot of studies, and it was funny because the digital acceleration in Philippines happened so fast. So I'm pretty sure that everybody went through that. But when you ask your customers what is the experience that they would like to have, they were still giving you the old stuff. Like, I want to go to the, I want to go face to face, right? I don't want to go digital. I want to go to the payment partner, sit there in a queue for 20 minutes, and that's the nice way. But in the digital acceleration, we have to all learn. We have to show the market what it could be, and I'm really happy that I believe that the whole market is seeing the value in that one. And in terms of the values to those important metrics and KPIs, I believe that the journey must be as simple and as easy as possible. And in each part of the journey, it's obviously a bit different, right? And in terms of the lifetime value, for me, it's about the funnel, having those many people at the beginning, get them on board, and then show them the value that we can give to them, not only through the customer experience, but of course, the parameters of the product, etc. And then let them choose whether they want to stay with you. And if they want to stay with you, they will bring the value, right, to you. It's like in the marriage. If you married well, then you will stay together for a long time, and you will be bringing each other a really big value. And yeah, that's what we are trying to do. We really want to create a long-term partnership with our customers, especially those good ones. And I think that the customer experience in the digital world is definitely one of the key elements of it.
What are these metrics which impact the longevity of the marriage, which is the customer life cycle? So what are these metrics? So I talked about revenue, upselling and cross-selling, right? So do you think there is a direct impact there as well?
Yeah, definitely. I believe that one of the most important is the retention. Upselling and cross-selling are also, what for me is the retention, that people are staying with us, ideally without us having much of a cost of reacquiring them again.
Thanks a lot. That was an interesting way to answer that question and setting the premise. So thanks a lot for that. I'm going to come back to Michael now. And Michael, my next question to you is, say from your experience, right? How important is having a complete understanding of your customers? Say perfect information about your customers, which can be behavioral, demographic, geographical, and the second part is, how can having a complete view of these customers, that single view of these customers, help you in recommending the right product, which helps you in upselling and cross-selling your product? So yeah.
Well, it depends as well on what your product is. In our case, we are a financing company, so our product, similar to home credit, we're financing. We're giving credit, we're lending. So we really need to know who the customer is. When the traditional way, I started with cards business. When you're going to apply, you have this big long form that has boxes which are smaller than you can really see, and spaces which are shorter than your actual name. And you write that down, send it to somebody. Somebody encodes it into the system and then uploads it, that Excel file. And all of that information, who did it come from? From the person wanting to get credit. It's like if someone is going to court you before you got married, if you court somebody, you don't say, oh, by the way, I have a lot of loans. I've been delinquent before. So can I borrow money from you? Of course, I wouldn't say that. If you're going to ask me for information, then I'm going to give you the information I think you want. That's the beauty of digitization and having it on a mobile perspective. Digitization has been there with the intent of eliminating paper. But now it's there to actually get to know who your customer is by the device. That's hard data. By the device itself, I can assess whether, oh, you have an iPhone 13, so most probably you have money. You're going from point to point regularly, most probably you're employed. So that information to us is very important for us to actually give credit. In the credit field, it's the buzzword before was risk-based pricing. The riskier you are, the more expensive the product is for you. That's not very customer-centric. Actually, MoEngage, the capability of MoEngage for companies like us, it allows us to actually do risk-based servicing. So it's not just the price. We have multiple products on our mobile app, and they're all loans. And in each product, there are different types of transactions you can make. In a credit card, when you get a credit card, you can use it for whatever, regardless of your risk profile. But if I have tools like what MoEngage can give us, then I can say, oh, for now, this is what you can do. If you behave better, then maybe you can do this. Then I can do a push notification. Oh, by the way, would you like to get a cash loan instead of just buying from Edimama, check out to SB Finance? That was a shout out. We're going to talk to you later, by the way, as a payout option. So, I mean, those are the power that's the power we get on understanding who the customer is. Not from what they want to show, but based on their behavior and based on what they use on their mobile app. So that's very important to us.
Thanks a lot for sharing that. I think you talked about also introducing empathy when you're talking to the customers and also creating a goal-oriented plan for them. So whenever they hit X or Y, you can reward
gamify
them.
the behavior.
Yep.
If you give us more information, it was actually led by the central bank in terms of wallets. The more information you give, then the bigger the transactions you can make. In the same way for credit, the more information I can get from you or you allow me to get from your device, then the more services based on your behavior we can give you.
Perfect. Jen, take a note of it because she's from Talent One, which is the loyalty partner. They can totally gamify their entire solution for you. I'm going to quickly come to Raymond now. Raymond, what is the role of customer experience in building the fintech brand? I know you're building a brand right now, right? You've been working on this for really long, so you'll probably have a more personal point of view here. And what are some of the messaging channels that you think work in educating your customers? So I think we touched about those touch points with Bunny earlier, but maybe you can highlight a little more.
Yeah, so the question is, what is the role of customer experience in building a brand? Now, I'm a marketer, I think. I look around this room. Most of the people who have joined this summit are marketers, and our holy grail is building a wonderful brand. Now, there is another world. I've been in digital, and I did start my old role building that brand without any engagement tools whatsoever. And that sucked. Let me tell you that. The reason is, in the digital space, if you have a digital product, and of course, this is from my perspective, 70% of brand building is not on what marketers do. Oh shit, I just made fun of all the marketers here, including myself. It's actually on the customer experience. And that is a brave statement for a marketer to say out loud that my job can only contribute 30% or even less. And that is why tools like MoEngage is quite critical in building a brand. Now, that's the first angle I will look at. being able to send them the right message and all that, I mean, that's part of it. Now, customer experience is not just about being able to give them the right offer or all of these things. It's also being able to improve your customer experience on the fly. Now, when we brought in MoEngage, obviously me, I'm like, fuck, I need this. I need this right now because blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to make the same mistakes I did before, which is, I don't want to do that anymore. But I know how long build cycles are for digital products. So to the people here who touch, digital products, you guys know how much fun we talk with tech and product and roadmaps and say, oh, I really need this because this customer insight is happening. And you're gonna be like, oh man, that's gonna come out in 3 months if you're lucky because we have a roadmap. Now, alleviating that are tools like this. If you fuck up on customers, sorry, am I allowed to?
Beep.
Yeah, it's all right. It's a closed circle, right? If you fuck up on customer experience, you can use MoEngage to properly nudge it, at least to alleviate those things. And I think that's really what's important here for those people and marketers here. The intersection between brand and customer experience and growth, they're all being muddled. And I think that acceleration from COVID really showed us that just as digital and offline experience, by the way, GoTime Bank also has an offline experience, so I agree what he said. But within your organizations, customer experience and brand builders and product people, they're all intermixed now. I disagree that marketers' job is to build a brand. No, it's everyone's job to build a brand. But it's our job also to save product if we mess up on the experience. And that's why tools like MoEngage is not just a customer engagement tool for me or marketing tool. It's really more like a customer experience tool that would hopefully save you if you mess up, but also help you build a brand because it can personalize that experience. And then once you personalize that experience, then you gain a customer. So that's the rule. Now, messaging channels, I'm going to answer that. Philippines is quite, different. I came from the US right after college and I did around 10 years in the Bay Area doing e-commerce and Yahoo and all that fun stuff. Email was king there. Email was king. I'll tell you right now, and sorry if there's email service providers here. When we forced people to put email in the digital app, we lost around 40% of consumers. That's crazy because everyone here are probably professionals and we do day-to-day work with email, except the really advanced one that just lives and dies on Slack. People are laughing because they're like, I'm never going to use email. I'm only going to use Slack. But to answer your question, straightforward, messaging apps like Viber is probably the next email, the next email tool. Now, granted, I haven't executed on it, and it's not going to come out during my launch, but rest assured, I'm going to be pushing Viber. Now, what are the rules on that? How to execute on that? That's still open field. But just as email had to mature a couple of years, I think messaging as the CRM tool of choice is going to mature as well. So hopefully, I'm able to give what's on my mind as well and share it with you guys.
I have a quick question there. Have you seen the CTRs on Viber messaging though? Do you have any insights on that?
So great one. No, I haven't because this is still all theory for me. So to the people that have actually shifted their email marketing to Viber, I need to talk to you because I don't know yet.
To be honest, that will be an interesting thing to think about because we've seen in WhatsApp, we are seeing 16 to 17% CTRs. Crazy. So which are insanely high CTRs. So I think Viber will be an interesting experiment for our product team, I guess, then. Yeah. So thanks a lot for that, Raymond. My next question is for Daniel again. And Daniel, I'm going to ask you something very simple. What are those banking trends? What are those interesting trends you have seen in the fintech industry in the past 1-2 years? What are those emerging trends? And do you think we've seen a lot of voice bots, voice payments, those robotic process automation companies come up, right? Do you think any of these new technologies have also been able to help you out in your customer experience?
So to answer the first part of the question, what are the emerging things? I think we are kind of lucky here in the Philippines because we are not the first country in the world that went through the digitization. So we have like China, States, and other countries to learn from. And it's obviously just going digital, like in any aspects of the life. Just read some study that the Filipinos are spending like 4 hours a day on the mobile phone, right? So you want to be there as a company. You want to have your product there. So I'm pretty sure it's like the digitization in general, and I'm really looking forward not to see so many bank branches all over the place. To, why should I be going there if I'm able to solve it? But it takes time, right? And to the other part, those tools, there are tools that are like a customer facing, that are making the life of the customer, potential life of the customer service easier. And like this voice bot, chat bot, and all of those things that are definitely needed because you want to service those challenging tasks, challenging questions, right? What is my account number is definitely something that you don't have to have an operator on the call to tell you. So that's one part, and the other part is that back end of the digital area. It was said that the data was the new oil, like 15 years ago. I think it's still valid now, and we have all the data lakes, but I have a feeling that we are more like drowning there than utilizing it properly. And I think there's a time coming where all of the decisions that we will be able to explain, it's because it's a segment A, and that segment A is getting the red color, and segment B is getting the blue color because of that one, that all of those tools, automation, AI, will have to give it up. There's so much data, so much processing. I think there was one of the questions to the other mama, like how they go through all the data and all the touch points. And last 2 years, I think it increased the volume of the data the first party data that each of the company possess tremendously, right? And we know most probably more about our customers they know about themselves, but we need to somehow structure it and create something tangible. So at the end of the day, there is a nice product, there is a nice service, and I'm pretty sure that this is something that will help us because the capacities of the human brain of everybody here, someone earlier, someone later, will be like exceeded by those tools, and I'm pretty sure that maybe not for me, for those like a C-level or senior management. It comes the time when we really will have to give it up all the decision power and simply say, yeah, there's a black box. It has all the data it needs. It has all the processing power it needs. And that black box is telling us what to do. And we simply have to trust it.
Fair enough. To be honest with their last point, we're actually creating a product called Proactive Assistant, which actually keeps telling you what kind of campaigns to make. So we're nearly starting on that journey. But that's just to help you out with the ROI. Not to remove people out of jobs, I promise. But thanks a lot. And you talked about big data and data being never enough. And my next question and the last question on the panel is actually for Bunny, and it's something around that only. How can banking and fintech brands leverage big data in making individualized recommendations to customers? So if you can share a few highlights on that.
So big data is actually sort of a reality for us right now. But before, I'm gonna date myself. But before, it used to be, customer relations management. And the thing with customer relations management before was you didn't have data. You didn't have data, or the data that come in are not real time. So by the time that you touch the customer, pre boom of digital, it would have been too late. So the advantage of having big data right now is that you can touch the customer real time. You can be more agile. For example, recently we looked at our database and saw a part of our customers have not been active for the past 6 months. So if it were pre-digital, we would have like activated a stimulus campaign for them in the next 3 months. But because we know the data now, we can actually now touch them and offer something to them to stimulate their usage. That's one. Second is, I think big data is also very important because based on research, the top 2 most important motivators that a client looks for in terms of going to a bank or transferring to another bank are makes me feel important and knows what I want. So big data will help, hopefully all of us here, will help us make our customers feel important and make them feel that we know what they want. Okay? So I think that that's really the role of big data right now.
And I have one more question on it, right? Like a lot of companies talk about this, there's a lot of data coming in and never data is enough. Like what is relevant data here? Do you also have an approach to just using that relevant data in communicating?
What we do is we do segment marketing. So we segment our market into several segments. Then from there we analyze, okay, usage behavior, past 3 months, past 6 months, past year, active, inactive. So we do a lot of analysis of the data that we have. So that's how we use data. Then we find gaps. As soon as we identify a gap, then the data become relevant to us because we know now how to kind of like talk to the customer. And going back to personalization, we can personalize the way that we talk to the customer based on the data that we have. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. So segmentation makes it possible, right? You're able to segment it, make it more easier, and use only relevant data for your customers. So I think we have another 10 minutes left on the panel. So we had some interesting discussion here. I want to open the floor for questions. So if any of you, I can see a hand over there. And just please tell which panelist you have the question for as well. Maybe we can just take a mic from here. Why don't you give me one of the mics? There you go.
Hi, good afternoon. Teen from Today Online. My question goes for anyone. I wonder, basing on where our technology is going, we see a lot of improvements. Would you say that going cashless would be an advantage for business? How do we see this going in the nearest future? Will there be a cashless society or something?
I can answer that.
Thank you.
The mandate of PSP is to digitalize the banking industry in the next 5 years. So all banks are mandated to go that way. Okay. Now, whether we become cashless or not, we don't know when, but BSP already mandated that we do digitalize banking. Why? Because digitalization is actually democratization of the banking industry. Why? Because a lot of unbanked in the Philippines, the main reason why they don't want a bank is because they don't have they feel, so this is more perception, they think that they don't have the necessary requirements, that's one, to apply for a deposit account. Second is they are intimidated by the banking industry. So having a branchless kind of banking, like a digital bank, will kind of open doors for the unbanked to be banked. So that's actually the strategy of the BSP. So I hope that answers your question. So yes, soon we will be cashless. And maybe to expound on the COVID situation a while ago, COVID really kind of like kick-started the cashless transactions in the Philippines. But NEDA itself said that we are still far behind our ASEAN neighbors in terms of cashless transactions. So that's why, again, I go back to BSP. I don't know whether BSP is gonna revise their 5-year digitalization plan or not, but all banks are really mandated to digitalize.
Raymond, do you have a point here? Like we saw
Yeah,
all the
so,
other panelists in banking.
Like, will we ever be cashless? If we take a look at the rapid growth of cashless transaction over the 5 years, past year, 2 years, 3 years, I think it's already happening. If you look around here, we did this exact same survey before we launched my old company. And 9 out of 10 were using cash. I think right now, if I ask people who here didn't bring a wallet or cash, you'd probably, in my table over there, they were like, I don't even bring a wallet anymore. So it will happen. Now, how does it help a business? Now, I also have experience, launching merchant products and business products. It's really is cash handling is the most expensive way to run a business. I kid you not. There's armored trucks. There's all of this kupet to all the foreigners out here. That means people's grabbing a little pinch here and there. But yeah, I would say just by those two, it's an obvious answer that it benefits your business. Now, how does it affect kind of like decision makers? Your business runs just a bit faster. Your decisions runs just a bit quicker. So you're able to adjust to the market, which is rapidly evolving a lot faster as well. So, yeah, hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Michael, you want to take up?
Yeah, just to add, I'm not sure if the younger ones know this, but the Philippines was actually one of the first to do digital money. 2004, the two big telcos started that. Unfortunately, it didn't fly as well that time. And for some reason, GCash started putting QR codes right before the pandemic. I'm not starting a conspiracy theory here, but it was perfect timing for them. And this is a personal experience. Prior to the pandemic, never did a single GCash transaction in my life. And now I'm cashless because of GCash. That means I don't have cash anymore because I always buy something. Go digital. Yeah? Go digital, get poor. It's easy. It's very convenient. And as Ray was saying a while ago, the value to the business, number one, it started out with the payments. The best payments product ever invented before the plastic, may it be debit or credit, that really changed and started us going into the cashless economy. Now with wallets and the acceptance of wallets now, that increases the capability. All those who are using cash, the joke before was when you get held up, what will you give, your wallet or your phone? Of course your wallet, because everything else is on your phone. Now, I have a money clip, not because I need the money, but because it's for sure I have a money clip. But other than that, majority of my transactions using my phone. And one of the things I realize now, we have here e-commerce and we have here the payment solutions. Having that ecosystem cooperate actually, and having all that here, we have that big data here. You have the transaction behavior, which will allow us to decide how much transactions we can actually provide to your customers and increase your customer base. So these tools that are available to us really help us and increase business. It increases our cash flow within the country. And it will reach actually the most important part, BSP's mandate of financial inclusion. You can't build branches everywhere. It's too expensive and it's too clunky. So the capability to actually reach to somebody in Kalinga, Apayao, so that you can book a tattoo with Pangod, you can actually do now.
So I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah, this is happening by the way. No, but that type of reach, that's what cashless allows us to do.
Good thing that Mikal mentioned something that kind of like made me remember one thing, which is the big banks like BDO, the BDOs and the BPIs of the world are already rationalizing their ATM machines. So that is one way also of kind of moving towards digitalization and kind of limiting cash. Yeah. So I don't know if you know Euronet. Yeah. So the advent of Euronet in the Philippines is also one strategy to rationalize the ATM machines in the Philippines. Yeah.
Dan, you want to take a shot? Or you're happy with the other answers?
No, I would not be that optimistic. I believe that everything that you are saying comes with a lot of development needed here in the country to allow the cashless economy. I believe that everybody knows here how is it to make a fifth phone call to get in touch with someone, right? Not having the internet strong enough to do the payment. Nothing against Gcash guys, but Gcash sometimes down, and then you need to have the wallet with some money. So I believe that it's coming, and I am really happy that the government is like pushing that evolution or revolution. But I believe that it must come with a lot of investments from like all of us to create that ecosystem that will be ideally flawless.
Thanks a lot for that. We'll take one more question before we end the session, and our panelists are going to be here, so you can ask them after this session as well. There, the gentleman over there has a question.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm from the ICT. My question is addressed to everyone. What is the best advantage of collaborating the prestigious banks and the biggest fintech brands in going through the digital transformation and thus creating an excellent customer experience, aside from being going on a cashless transaction?
Yeah, so I'll pick that up first. So I think the innovation that you're talking about already happened. And to be honest with you, it's InstaPay. InstaPay, the switch, I think everybody, raise your hand if you've used InstaPay here. It's everyone. If you see here the interconnectivity of that switch between financial institutions, we're already cooperating with the big boys, the fintechs, the e-wallets, and everybody involved. Now, I love that initiative from the BSP and all of the other financial institutions because we're now interconnected. What's funny, and obviously I'm not going to tell the numbers, but the number one payment solution is not QR, it's not Visa, it's not MasterCard. It's actually me sending money to somebody else. The Philippines is still run on an informal economy. Most of the transactions that I do on my day-to-day, it's me sending money to somebody else, me doing InstaPay to somebody else, and I think that really helped unlock the digital economy here in the Philippines. I can't imagine doing a transaction in Facebook Marketplace, which is my favorite e-commerce site, by doing a cash, meetup and all of those things. So to answer your question, sir, strong believer in what the regulatory BSP, the government is doing in the Philippines because it is not the same in other countries, and we've spoken to a lot of them. We're very lucky that there's this big push behind us because without that push, I don't think we would exist in this panel. I don't think there's going to be investments in the Philippines without that push. So it's very important that those regulatory switches to make that happen.
You wanna take a shot?
I will just add to that. I think one of the very important cooperation that is still be improved is like building some unified and really big credit bureau that will really help customers in terms of customer experience, right? Everybody's collecting a lot of data for the credit and for the financial inclusion before you need to know the customer, right? And once we'll be able to have that from each of the banks and each of the whole industry, pretty sure that will improve the overall customer experience.
Thanks a lot. I think that was a very interesting session. We got some fun insights as well. And if you have any questions, the panelists are going to be around, so please feel free to ask them throughout the sessions, throughout the day. First of all, we'll end the session. It'll be great if you can give a round of applause for our amazing panelists. And thank you, panelists. I'll just hand over the session to Saurabh. He's going to take you with what's coming next.